and the papers here have captured so many stories. Those of our guests who join us to review these stories today, we have former Member of Parliament for Busa North constituency, Timothy Awontirim, and we have Kwame Nkrumah Botsio. He is General Secretary of the CPP. And of course, Professor Isaac Boedi, he's Dean of Accounting and Finance at UPSA. Today, I'm not going to say who came first or not. Let's just get right into the papers. Prof doesn't want to laugh. So, no. Today, no roll call. Let me get your quick thoughts for us this morning before we dive into the papers. I'll start with you, Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah.
Thank you. Thank you, sweetie. And good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. And nice outfits. I see you're commiserating with the Indians.
Thank you very much.
Well, top of my mind is yesterday, the Convention People's Party turned 76 years old.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And we would want to thank Ghanaians for keeping this country together. It's not been an easy journey from 12th of June 1949 up to today. I want to single out the current living presidents and ex-presidents, President Kufuor, President Akufo-Addo, and President John Dramani Mahama. They've all done their bit to keep the country together. Governance is not easy. They are not perfect, but we want to thank them and all Ghanaians. And we say that we are still struggling in a way, but we will get there. And we also want to wish, as a party, the current BC candidates, we wish them all the best, even though we've heard some unsavory stories of one young lady going into labor during the exam and then coming back the next day to write. I think as much as things may be rosy on the surface, we shouldn't forget that charity begins at home. We shouldn't forget the moral upbringing of the boy child and the girl child. That's what we have.
Well, thank you so much, Nana Kwame Nkrumah Botsio, and congratulations on your anniversary. You're older than the independence of the country.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mr. Awontirim, what's on your mind today? Colorful outfit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Let me not leave anyone out. You're all looking dashing this morning.
Beautiful. I like his outfit. The top is beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me say good morning to Osajifo, party secretary, and to Prof, and to yourself, and to our viewers. Mine is just simple. Yesterday, the issues of the nurses and their emoluments or so came up, and I listened to one MPP commentator who was busy serializing what Samij fee is taking and making a comparative analysis to what a nurse is taking. You see, when we do such analysis, it doesn't help in the cause. You cannot say that because my brother is a professor and he's taking this, Tim, who is ABC, should be, and why is he taking so?
Yeah.
It does not help in the discourse. And we know what we are doing. If you make such commentary, you are deceiving the public and you are not helping to resolve the matter. These matters that concern the people, whether they are teachers or public servants in general, they are serious matters. And for politicians like us, when we come, we should face the truth. We've all been part of the decisions or indecisions that we've made that has brought the public service to this low. For instance, let me put it on record that no government appointee now is taking the salaries that they were mentioning. First of all, if you are appointed, if the president appoints you as an acting CEO, you must first of all go to the Public Service Commission. They would interview and give you a formal letter of appointment. When that is given there, it is specified on it what you take. So where were they getting those figures and banding about? If the president appoints you, you must first of all go and face Public Service Commission panel.
Yeah, but Samij Fee's case, in the gold board, the documents, we saw the amount of money that he was supposed to be taking as salary. No. So it became public knowledge.
No one
I thought I saw that.
I just want
you
to tell
go
you
and I'll
that,
find it.
Yes, and beyond that, no appointee. You must first of all go to the public. That's why they are acting. And if it means that you are taking so much an amount or so, you came and met it. So that is where you are starting. It can even be reviewed down or up. So if the Public Service Commission, and you could go to the interview and then you are not even qualified to be there. So for me, when issues of public discourse come out, We've done this for a long time. It hasn't helped the cause of this country. Let us be much more nationalistic and passionate so that we bring peace and tranquility into our public sector and then to the people of Ghana. Don't let us put information as if you were there, you would not benefit from it and that you are enjoying. You see, it leads to a situation where it's like, it's mere propaganda and jealousy, and we should put that as politicians.
Okay, thank you. I mean, on the case of the nurses, there's no comparison there. We shouldn't even be comparing the situation to anyone.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. What is due them? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, let's give them what they are due.
Okay.
Without necessarily blowing out of some unnecessary comparisons at all. It won't end today anyway.
Okay. So, Professor Ezigboedi, it's your turn now.
A few weeks ago, I was here, commended this administration for taking, I think some of them were picked back to their homes.
Yes.
Gradually, they are coming back. I'm sure you have seen that. Gradually, they are coming back.
Not just the, let me add one more to you. The decongestion that was done in Accra, I saw that place. I don't know, was it even worth it at this point? Everybody's coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. We want to beg our this administration. I was here, I commended this administration for taking the time, that boldness to kick these individuals out of this country. They are coming back again, and it demands that authorities should be aware of what is happening, because our streets are, a lot of people on the streets, and the roads are made for cars, not for human beings, and we should be clear with this. The last thing is to congratulate your good friend Ben for his appointment. You know, I think they are doing wonders here in your outfit. You are doing great. How many people are gone?
Wait, is it public knowledge already? Okay.
Do you know what Prof is talking about? I don't know.
I thought it was just in-house. Okay, I mean, go ahead. I mean, I can't stop you.
Social media, so
okay,
I thought maybe it's for public knowledge.
Okay.
It's good. It's good.
Okay, it's good. Let's leave it there. So I actually want to start with your papers before I get into the Daily Graphic, because there's so many stories. The major ones, when we can pick those like the ongoing OSP versus SML, I mean, and we can link that to Ken Ofori-Atta. There's the issue about the NCA versus President Mahama and the minorities' reaction to that, calling it a high-handedness. Let's get those big stories out there and then see. So let me start with you. You have 3 papers. What are the biggest headlines in your papers?
The Daily Gist has no third term for Mahama, Professor Prempeh, and 22 busted and 500 million NSS ghost names fraud, government defense sacking of 18 generals, Amedu punches OSP again, Mahama backtracks on closure of 64 radio stations, and stop using fake doctor title, Tanko computer told. I think I would want to touch on the 22 busted.
Okay.
I've been listening to the Deputy Attorney General, my learned friend, Dr. Justice Remsai. I think he's doing a good job. This NSS issue didn't start today. I remember when I was doing my national service at Jirapa Lambusia district in 2004.
Oh, it brings to mind Jirapa, Dubai. You know, that's sad incident, man. Yes. Go ahead.
There was one particular individual that occasionally would be at loggerheads, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Later on, there was a scandal, and it turns out that he had diverted some funds and was into ghost names and all that. There was a plea bargain, and he was made to refund it. This is as far back as 2004, even though his issue came up somewhere 2007. So this is something that has always happened. But the Deputy Attorney General did something that I thought was very good. He said alleged misappropriation of funds. I like the way he used the term alleged.
Okay.
I can see that he's not playing politics with it. He's getting down to the ground. And he also stated that some have offered to refund the money. Certainly a crime is a crime. And of course, even if there's plea bargain, the plea bargain also as much as it's good we refund our money, because we need money for a lot of things, to pay nurses and all that. I think he's doing well by saying that it's alleged, and I suppose he's also, his brother, the OSP, also recently in the NPA scandal did not mention names. It's a good thing. They should proceed with their investigation, because as a legal practitioner, there are a lot of cases that you say is game, set, and match, and at the end of the day, you realize that all the way to the Supreme Court, the accused person or the defendant may not have been found culpable, and yet his name has been dragged in the mud. So he's really handling it in a mature way. And then Mahama backtracks on closure of 64 radio stations. I was very happy to hear that.
Okay. Minority will disagree with you, but let me hear you now.
Because I was somebody that I really listen to the radio. I really listen to the radio, especially when I'm driving. And then I tuned into one of the stations, and the signal was strange. I'm like, what is happening? It's as if you could hear some static and then some music and static.
Yeah.
And then I heard that they had been taken off air. And it brought back memories of what happened to some other radio stations, which I wasn't happy about. I listen to radio across board, no matter the leaning of the radio station. I believe most of radio stations are neutral, but some are known to lean one way or the other. I listen to them irrespective of that. It's good to get all the views. So when I heard it, it brought back memories of what happened to those stations when they were shut down. And I wasn't too happy about it, because you know, the media is so important. It's so important. When the media, the airspace was open, the radio waves were open. I remember Joy FM was one of the first stations.
Yeah.
I really remember it was one of the first stations. And since then, things have gotten better and better. We are more informed. So when it comes to dealing with the media, I believe that there should be more of negotiation. You don't just take such actions, even though I believe the law probably allows the Honorable Minister to do what he did. He's just doing his job. But I'm happy that His Excellency stepped in and asked for them to be put back on air. He has displayed fatherhood. Of course, I suppose Father's Day coming up, so he's being conscious of his decisions. And we also have stopped using...
Okay, let's stay on those two stories. Okay. Let me get quick reactions, and then I'll come back to you. Mr. Wintrim, so what are your thoughts on these two stories? On the issue of the NCA, the NPP members of parliament are saying that NCA is an independent authority. The president ideally should not be interfering in their activities. So where is he getting the legal backing to say give them a 30-day window to see that if they can settle all those issues?
You see, the majority in parliament should give us a break.
Majority?
The minority, led by Honorable Afenya Markin, should give us a break.
Yes, status.
We cannot change it by mere pronouncement of verbal utterances. Because the issue at stake is that the NCA is regulating, like lawyer said this morning, in accordance with the rules and regulations governing the space of our broadcasting and so on. So what the NCA and the Minister for Communication did was in accordance with law. For a president to give clemency or the power of mercy is also grounded in law, because he's the chief executive of the state, and he can decide to use his clemency anytime he deems fit, notwithstanding the law. So I don't see why there should be a banter over whether what the president did was in law, is grounded in law or not. We all know that the Constitution allowed the president to use the prerogative of mercy to even pardon criminals and so on, depending on the nature of the matter. And if the issues of the closure of the 60 radio stations and so on is in accordance with law, the same law grants the president that clemency to do it. And like he says, the father of all. And we know John Dramani Mahama very well, His Excellency. He's part of the media. And we've all seen how he treated the media when he was even president and vice president and so on. He's a friend of the media. He's a media personality and so on. And we should always be applauding presidents when they do better. We've seen a situation where previously a government that was headed by Afenya Markin and his group, that over 100 radio stations were closed. Even the plea for clemency and the body language, their posture, even some of them were at the point of pain. Some of them even went to pay, and they refused. Then you turn around 360 degrees, and why should we applaud them? You can go ahead to say that, yes, we do not need to do ABC, the ones who want the democracy to go on. But for me, I think what is done in the law, and those who were not speaking when it was done to their neighbor ought to stop speaking now and then look at good governance. The NPP have no business talking about good governance. Their relationship with the media...
No, but we can't have good governance without an active opposition. So
I'm saying that they have no business talking about good governance. When they sat and even saw media houses attacked by party hooligans, and they said nothing. As I talk to you, they've boycotted some media stations. And if those media stations are even at their press conferences, they throw their mics away.
Sure.
How would you do that? And you get, and Afenya Mark hasn't seen all this, and a cameraman just picked his shoes. He said, I swear shoes that he didn't. And the way, look at the way he attacked the cameraman in Parliament because your shoes were snapped and then put on the media and so on. So for me, I think that we are doing the right thing. When we are not also gagging critical voices and those who make a critique. Because if policies are not criticized, you cannot know where you are going. That is why most policies within this part of the world fails. Because when we tend to gag the people, we tend to silence them, and nothing is going ahead. So for me, the president did well. The NCA and the Ministry of Communication did it in accordance with law.
Okay. And
they should know, a radio station like Asasi Radio, I was surprised they were among them because they couldn't pay or meet the terms that were supposed to renew. And why would that be? I think that it's a lesson to them. I heard Afenya Markin saying that, why would Wontumi be...
You said it 4 times.
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you do that? Why do you personalize this thing? We are in this country, we know what Wontumi does, and so on. But that was not what was used to close the radio station down. Remember, all those shenanigans, his talks and so on, were not part of what was used to close it. So why would a minority leader wet his salt? Do that, drag and make it look personal.
We have to pause here for a second, and then let me speak to Prof now. Prof, what is your stance on this matter?
We need to interrogate the issue further. We might not have the time to discuss all giving the full details of what happened, but we know 64 closed down. If you segment the in terms of the breakdown, 28 for those who operated with expired authorization, and about 14 of them also didn't have, were given 2 years with authorization, but they failed to set up. I think 7, 12, 13 or so, and 7. So you need to be able to find out the breakdown of what really happened. If you go back to history, we've had this over the years. And for the first time, I think I've seen the president coming back to rebut or to change a stance of a minister. It is rare sometimes. We don't see this. But let's look at the issue carefully. Some media houses were caught in some procedural delays, others for willful non-compliance. So if you take that one out, then we'll look at the statement by the president and then the minister and that of NCA. The minister comes out to close 64. Few hours, the president steps in, tells the whole country, please, for such reason, please go back, give a time frame. And let's interrogate the statement of the president. Reasonable time frame for you to go back and make payments. Then we had the minister coming back to give ultimatum. I'm giving you 30 days. Go and do this. A bit worrying. One, in terms of messaging. If you take care of statement of the president, we're trying to balance regulatory enforcement as against freedom of speech. I've been saying that, in fact, media freedom shouldn't depend on the presidential mercy. If the law is clear, enforce it. The law is unjust, reform it. Because on one breath, we see the hand of a president without presidential, clemency. And then the other hand holds like a hammer. So we should find a balanced way of solving some of the problem that we have in our media space. I think...
Are you saying that there may be concerns that if the president is being lenient with these media houses, he might be caught in favor in their eyes? Well, they might not be as objective as they ought to be in criticizing the president if he does something that warrants such criticism?
Well, when you do that in the public opinion, I think it's more for the optics. Because if you want a statement to come out from a minister, it doesn't start in the day. It goes through a process over a period of time, consideration stages. Sometimes they are sent to cabinet for considerations. So at what point did the minister come out? Say 64 shut down. In a few hours, the president steps in and tells the minister, please allow them, give them a reasonable time frame.
But those processes don't fall under the president's, bird's eye view of a sort. It goes to the processes you're talking about. It's in the ministry and the agencies under that ministry. So perhaps they did it as an independent ministry, and then the president saw that this is what had happened, and then he steps in. So that could also be another.
There shouldn't be a disconnect.
There shouldn't be?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a disconnect because decisions are taken at certain levels. To say 65, 64 should be closed down, it's a media house, strong media house in the country. But when it's good, we have to say it. For the first time, I've not heard any president ordering or telling a minister, please, this one, I won't allow you to go ahead and do it. It's the first I've heard it. But I'm saying that there should be some coordination at that level. And that will help all of us in this. Okay.
So you also said that one hand with mercy, the other hand with a hammer. What's the other hand? I just want to get clarity on that.
Oh, the clemency.
Yeah, you said on one hand, clemency, mercy, and then the other hand...
Look at the position of the minister. Hardline.
Okay, so it's the same issue.
The same
all right,
issue,
okay,
yes.
Okay, good. So you said that there was another story. If we can get, please, let's do this rapid response.
That was on the National Service.
Yes.
National Service.
Do you have quick comments on that, or should we move on to another story?
Oh, the quick comment is that I think that the Attorney General's outfit is doing well with the investigations into this public mess and so on. It should serve as a way moving forward. These people are not being persecuted. They are going through the due process of law. At the end of the day, the state might win or they may even win their cases. But once they follow due process to ensure that their rights are not stumbled upon, then I think that is good. Let us applaud institutions that has been built to prosecute people who willfully cause financial loss to the state. It will serve as a deterrent for most people because you wouldn't want to go and spend your life in prison or to be embarrassed. Your picture is flashed not for any good reason, but to be associated with fraud. So for me, it's a good thing. Let's applaud him. We are all in for Ghana for good governance. All
right, thank you. So give me one big story from one of your papers, and then I'll move on from you.
Okay, so I would talk about 24-hour economy starts July 1st, President Mahama. The 24-hour economy is something that we've all been looking forward to. I think it's a good thing because the date chosen to is significant, July 1st, which is Republic Day, when Ghana became a republic under the auspices of the CPP and Osagefo. And I look forward to the start of the 24-hour economy. And it says here that the president made this known at when he opened the Horticultural Expo 2025.
Yeah.
And he spoke of year-round sunshine, fertile soil waters, and hard-working farmers. He also explained that the expo feeds into government's flagship program. He went ahead saying that the 24-hour economy will be operational to provide a framework for continuous production, processing, logistics, and horticulture. It's very important, especially we have the kind of weather that, admittedly, sometimes during the day, it can get so hot that there are certain things you can't really do. Or if you're going to do, you have to keep on the air conditioning in the factories and all that. So if we're going to have 24 hours, then that means that at night, you may be using the lights, but you'll not be relying so much on the air conditioning and other things.
Okay.
It's a very good policy. Some of us in our student days, we used to go and do jobs here and there abroad, especially in the construction sector. And they used to work 24/7. And it really helps in moving a country forward when you have such policies. And he said, according to him, such policies would allow perishable goods like pineapples, mangoes, and others to move swiftly from the fields to ports and international shelves, which is also very important. Occasionally, you come across landmark court cases. I think there's one case, I've forgotten the title, which was based on how some tubers of yam were not treated well, and an exporter lost a significant amount of money. It had to do with one of the airlines. And some communication issues regarding a foreign country. I think when they got in touch with Ghana, the office had closed and all that. But when you have this 24-hour economy to really help, we can also have call centers. Nowadays, some of the local banks, you call their call centers and you are linked to somebody outside Ghana. We can have our own people in the call centers. There are a lot of youth who are looking for work. They approach us all the time. But when we have this 24-hour economy, they'll also be able to cater for themselves. I mean, it will also help.
I think that the government has done well in communicating the importance of the 24-hour economy. And now that they're saying it's set to start July 1st, the question on my mind is, do we have the infrastructure ready to actually handle this? In terms of the review, you're talking about goods. Some of these goods, fresh produce, need to be transported. It's a matter of the road network. Are they in good shape enough that they can be transported at night? Are the streets lit? You know, because if you're operating 24-hour economy and you want to transport fresh yam, pineapple, and whatever, you need to be secure enough to know that you can transport them in the night without any armed robbers attacking you, without not seeing a pothole or a manhole. These days, we see some terrible roads all over the place. So is the infrastructure ready to handle the 24-hour economy that they're saying is starting on the 1st of July? That's the question I believe is on the minds of many people.
It's an important point you've raised. Even the Accra-Tema motorway, the street lights, occasionally they work. Other times they are off. Yeah. And we hear that it's thieves who steal the lights at night.
Even the batteries.
Even the batteries.
Yesterday we had a caller who called in somewhere. Bonkatamanso, she said it was terrible. When we saw the visuals, it was terrible. Actual manholes in the road. Yeah. You know, it's terrible. We should focus on fixing these roads to enable us actually see the impact of this 24-hour economy. Otherwise, we are just waxing lyrical with no actual.
So with this 24-hour economy, we'll actually be forced out of our comfort zone to fix these things. Outside, you have roadworks being done in the night all the time. You have construction being done in the night. So I think it's gradual. We cannot wait for the perfect situation. Let's start now, and we'll build as we go along.
Okay. So I'm on you now.
Yeah, certainly. A million miles journey starts with the first step.
Okay.
We might not have all the infrastructure needed to take off, like you rightly put it. But you can also wait for the infrastructure to be ready before you take off. And I've been all the time I've been saying that the 24-hour economy, people must understand the policy very well. It is not unilateral. You can either register and join it, or you refuse to join it. And I've been citing the famous example of the free HSS. If you are in public school, you will enjoy it. If you're in private school, you will not enjoy it. And if you're in private school and want to enjoy the free HSS, you must enroll. So the 24-hour economy is not blanket. If you are doing your business, it can be 24 hours, but it is not the policy that anchors our pledge to do the 24-hour economy. So you can be doing a 24-hour economy, but you are not going to benefit from that policy, because the policy gives tax rebates. It gives a reduction in electricity. It is aimed at the export market. You can go on.
There are a lot of incentives for those who.
For instance, if you are not in free zones, you cannot benefit from those who are in. I want this to be very clear. Now, again, if you look at the 24-hour economy, it was thought through. And I like the man leading it. It's Ghc2.4bn who is leading it. And it's a multifaceted project that would need most of the institutions coming on. For instance, 2023, statistics from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority tells us that non-traditional export alone gave this country $4 billion. $4 billion. Green money, unquestionable. It's not galamsey. It won't destroy anything. Now, it is also projected about by 5 years, non-traditional export is going to give us over $25 billion. Now, if you juxtapose this and try to woven it into the 24-hour economy, it basically comes to the same thing. That is why the president himself is chairing what is called Accelerated Export Development Council to promote exports as part of a broader strategy for economic transformation. Now, what we are seeking to do, the policy will come for public debate, like he has called for. It will come to Parliament. We'll all look at it. We'll give in our inputs. And I've also seen the CEO of Margins Group saying that it must also, a digital identity must drive the 24-hour, which we all agree because we are moving digital. Yesterday, I went to the Register General office to do some registration. I meant to one of our registration certificates. And you can't imagine, we got around 2 o'clock. Even payment, Fidelity Bank is the one paying, but they are using the platform of the Register General. And the payment was so slow. You could sit there for 4 hours. And I was asking, why don't you create an electronic system where people can pay, for instance, mobile money? And the manager told him that, look, that is not, it is the platform. They are only collectors for it. And you can see the number of people. It's a place that you can start with a 24-hour program. Like the president said, I think the Tema Port and the Takoradi Port are beginning to also start the 24-hour policy. And then the Register General Passport Office are taken up. At least state institutions will be able to be the fulcrum around which this 24-hour economy is driven. And we should all applaud it. And it's just not that, it's also going to increase the number of employment that our team youth are. And then a place like the Palgo Dam will play a very big role because you was talking about irrigation. Very fantastic. So we would want to see the Palgo Dam come on by the close of the next year. And for us in the Upper East region, we can go there, I can travel from Sanama to Palgo and do farming for about a week and go back. It's been done always across the globe and so on. So it is a policy that has a lot of potentials, and it's a policy that when we properly implement it, it's going to solve most of our teething problems.
Yeah, so that's the points that I think we all agree on. Yeah. But I believe we spoke to Kojo Oponkuma sometime last week or last 2 weeks, and you were asking for some documents, clarity on how the direction of this policy and all that. The document is being done. He's in Parliament. They will bring it. He shouldn't. Yeah. I'm just trying to say that when it comes to the impact or the importance or how this 24-hour economy policy or whatever would turn the fortunes of the country around, nobody's debating that. But we want clarity. We want better infrastructure. We want systems in place before we. Okay,
I agree, so you know that the policy would have to come to Parliament. Yeah. It is in. I think the banner it would have been fully completed. It
well, so we are waiting for that. Okay.
Would be seen there. Inputs will also equally be brought in. Prof and his academic group will have to put their inputs there.
Yes, you have to review it thoroughly. In fact, Prof, let's hear you out now on this.
City is finally we've had a date for a smooth takeoff of that Mark talked about, the 24-hour. I'm a Ghanaian. Anything good, I will support. Because we live in an economy that we have structural challenges. Today we are making gains in terms of our city. But the structural challenges, they still remain. A country that consumes more than we produce. A country that imports more than we export. We have a challenge. So today we have the date set for July for the smooth takeoff of 24-hour economy policy. I mean, we thank God. Finally, we have
it is here.
It's here. But my advice to this administration is that stakeholder engagement have not been the best. education on this policy has been a problem. We are finding it difficult even to explain what 24-hour economy is.
Are we?
Yeah, for me, it's so...
Both of them have explained it quite well. I've listened to a lot of government officials explain this 24-hour economy, I think...
It's just an advice. I mean, we are here.
We take it, Prof.
Yeah, it's not advice.
Very important.
We should educate people well. Stakeholder engagement must be there. And one key issue, energy issue. To drive 24-hour, you need a backup in terms of your energy crisis. You shouldn't have problems with energy. So if they want to implement this, we thank God. But those bottlenecks must be checked before we roll out. Other than that, we have a problem because don't forget, in the manifesto of the 20, how many policies or so? Manifesto promise, campaign promise
about
of the
25.
About 25. Some have been completed, others still in progress. This one supposed to have been part of the 120 days. But there's nothing wrong if it's moved to a different month or so for smooth takeout. That is okay. But the issue is that we still have structural challenges. And my good friend said, we don't need to have everything in place before we can have a smooth takeout of this. But then the major issues are that energy must be checked.
Yeah, that's true.
Education, stakeholder engagement must be intensified before we can have this rollout of this policy.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. So the new center, Mr. Wontrim, that's you now.
Oh, wow. The new center. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association National Council to decide fate of strike. Drive 24-hour economy with digital identity. Margin CEO say so. Republic Bank rolls out 10-rate CD mortgages to boost home ownership. Then I can see Ecobank Ghana posts 2.4 billion profit before tax in 2024. Revenue hits for 5.4 billion. And I think it's a good kudos to the ECOWAS bank. I think they are doing extremely well. Let me use this opportunity to caution. You see, most of the banks that are being handled by government is problematic. I went to Ghana Commercial Bank to do some transaction, and all of us were sitting. The tellers were empty. They were sitting there and they were looking at us. So our attitude in government institutions, we must reset our minds. We must all put our strength in it. There's nothing we can do about these things. If Ecobank is posting so much profit, we should applaud them and we should ensure that this is translated into the banking sector. So the waste and other malpractices and our own conduct and attitude towards the customers must change. That very day, I went to one of the banks and within some 5 minutes, I'm done. Now I'm going to commercial bank to even just to deposit the money, gave me hell. Yeah. And I think Ghana Commercial Bank is listening. They should up their game, talk to their, their staff, and if they need training, customer service is very important and so on. So I think it's very important.
There's a story, I don't know if I'll have time to come back. I just want, because it's relating to what you're saying. State enterprises must sign performance contracts, according to SIGA. And they're saying that SIGA's role was not to control or micromanage the affairs, but they need to have a way of evaluating the performances of state entities, ensuring they meet their targets and key performance indicators and compliance. So that is coming from
I think it's a
SIGA.
good call.
I thought it's,
it's very important. It's a good call, and we must treat state enterprise like that. In fact, most of our youth would want to work with them, but sometimes some of these things can scare potential investors and so on. Let's encourage them, let them have their targets to meet. Let every worker take what he deserves when you are working there. It should not be a burden. It should be a lovely environment and so on. So I applaud the Ecobank, and I wish that other banks would emulate the example. They might not have the capacity, but their services that they render to the public should be of good standard, and we should emulate that.
All right. Please, one more story from you, and then...
The drive, I think we've talked about the 24-hour economy, but let me just make this point about the 30 days grace to the stations. I think it's in order. 30 days is enough for you to be able, like Prof this morning segregated the various challenges facing. They cannot be lumped together on one platform. Some might even need a week or less. And I think that up to now, if you were operating 30 days should be enough for you to be able to correct whatever that grace period has been given to you. Because it means that you were operating, only that you didn't get some things right and renewal regulations and so on. So we would want to see a media that is independent, that is critical in the analysis, because a democracy without the media is equal to a dictatorship.
We are the fourth estate.
You are the fourth estate of the realm, and the government should support it. I like the way, I think even the first, you are multimedia, this is multimedia, right?
Yes.
You have not been caught in any of this. It means you must
Which
be
is
doing
why
something
you should
correct.
keep your dial on 99.7 FM. If you don't do any
doing something right. It means you are doing something right. And probably maybe you know the politicians, so you won't allow any politician to catch you off guard.
Yeah.
So I think you are doing something. They should emulate. They can learn from you and so on and so forth. So for me, I think the 30 days grace is okay. We shouldn't play politics with it.
Okay.
We should allow regulations and the law to work where we have to enforce it, like Prof espoused this morning, so that we can have a better society for all of us.
Okay. Prof, quick comment on this state enterprises and government institutions, and I'll come back to you.
I think the last thing is on what my brother talked
Okay.
about. For some stations do exploit weak enforcement. Others are just victims of a broken system.
Yeah.
So NCA should be able to differentiate negligence from those who don't want to comply. That's what I can say.
Okay. Osajefo, you want to comment on that?
I think it's. I've already commented on the 30 days. I think I'll go back to the self-assessment by the state institutions. It's very, very important, because in a lot of private institutions and even I know the academia, a lot of times before you even justify an extension of your employment contracts, you have to do your self-assessment, grade yourself. The institution may decide to either agree with you or not, but it helps to know where you are standing. The same should go for the state institutions. They should assess themselves very often to see where they are. You know, a lot of times the preoccupation is always about blaming previous administrations for doing this or doing that or doing that. Once you get into office, you hit the ground running. Let us know what you yourself are doing and your performance markers, so that you don't find yourself in the same problem that you are blaming others for. And
all right.
Touch briefly to the 30 days grace period is good.
Okay.
It's good, so.
Thank you. Let's do some stories from the Business and Financial Times now, and The Economist has that paper. So,
ADB explores strategic agric insurance partnership to enhance farming. That's on page 3 of BFT. Well, they have an agreement, or they've met some partners to enhance agric farming. In fact, that is our next goal. Farming should be our next goal. And ADB,
it should even be the core.
That's, but for me, ADB is doing well. Their core mandate, in fact, after the investor banking license, which allows any bank to operate in different fields, either to ADB strictly on agric loans. If they want to go back to their core mandate of helping boost production, that's a good.
Except that they should find a way to fast track their systems. I've used ADB for over a decade now. It was the first bank I started saving at ADB.
No, they're doing well.
But no, listen, I don't often visit the bank, but every time I go there, I spend too many unnecessary hours just sitting around waiting for nothing, you know? So, I mean, no matter how well you're doing, if your customers don't feel that they are prioritized when they visit your banks, we lose hope in whatever you're doing. I'm not, chastising them this morning, but I'm just cautioning or advising that they should find a way to fast track whatever happens in the bank that takes so much time. I've stopped going to the bank because of ADB.
I've been with them for
commercial banks, they've changed.
Have they? I don't use commercial banks.
They've changed. So, well, it's an advice to them. There's another story on page 3. Cost of printing CD jumps 47% in 2024. This is coming at the back of the recent annual report of BOG declaring a loss. And I've done some publications on that, reasons for why they didn't make profits. In fact, one of the reasons could be the cost of printing cedis, which are jumped to. I've not done comparative analysis across other African countries in terms of the cost in printing their currency. But mostly it's anchored on inflation as well, when price of goods are also going up over the period of time. Certainly, as a body, are likely to have issues with that. Then we also look at currency depreciation as well. When those materials are mostly things that we buy from outside the country, obviously, when you have issue with your city, that started from, I think, somewhere 2023 all the way down, recording a figure of exchange rates had a problem over the period. But now it seems a bit stable. I don't know what the record would be.
47% is such a jump. But then again, it's 2024. I mean, I was going to make the argument that if inflation and the other micro-indicated,
Yeah, but I mean, it's one item. We don't know other items as well. So I'm just giving reasons why we could have a jump in printing your currency. When those items are being procured from outside, obviously you have issues. Then we talk about higher denominations. If you have the 200s, you have the 100s, you're printing more. The features on those currencies, they'll cost. Cost. So we don't know which ones that they printed, whether the 200s or the 100, because the features are not the same. And those embossing will have other prices that will go up. So that's on page 3, and the story will be there. Chamber of Mines projects strong growth in 2025. I mean, when you come out to say something, it means that you have other indicators that are also, helping you to make these projections. So in 2025, they are looking for, reason being what? We've seen increase in terms of production capacity. We've seen some increment in that area. Then we have higher global mineral prices also going up. So if the one in chart tells us in 2025 we expect to have a higher growth, then they probably will be anchored in 1, production, 2, in terms of price of minerals across the world. Then we also look at the government policies as well. You know, in 2024, we ended that year good for oil. Remember, we had some gains over the period, stabilized the city for some time. So if this administration will continue to support the Chamber of Mines, I'm sure some of the policies that will churn out will help this institution to make profits this year.
Okay.
Collateral registry was.
Let's touch on that briefly. And then
collateral registrar was 31% annual growth in secured lending. For me, it's another positive news that we've seen it here. When we say collateral registry, what does that mean? For those who take loan from the bank, their collaterals are taken over by the banks, and then they are deposited or records are kept at the BOG or so, and that's the department that are in charge of. And we are seeing annual growth of 31%. What does that mean? Well, improved lender confidence. It means that people are taking more loans from the bank, and the banks are able to register such growth over the period. Faster and cheaper loan processing time also will help.
Are they able to pay? Are these collaterals at the banks taking over? I mean, for the ordinary person, that's also another area of interest.
Well, collateral is simply a fallback position for any institution, that if the person fails to pay, what will it fall on?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what even happened at Exim Bank. I questioned the Exim Bank authorities. They don't want me provide collateral, so were they kept out there?
Okay. We have a few minutes to go. So let me get into do you have quick comments on this before I get into my paper? Okay, let's get into the paper. Mr. Wuntrim.
Yeah, Prof talked about the ADB zeroing on its core mandate, which we all know is about agri-processing. And that is the core issue. But you see, the banks in this country look like the universities that are coming on. The universities, some universities, private universities, will start that they want to do IT before you realize they are doing law courses.
No, it's as a result of...
Before you realize they will deviate from their core mandate into doing things that are unproductive.
But no, it's not their fault. They have a license, and that allows them to move into any area.
I am not faulted. I'm saying that they behave like some universities that told us that they were going into mainly for this particular program. Before you realize the whole school, they are lawyers. So when you do that, Prof, you see, you've moved from your core mandate into fishing.
Who's catching stray bullets this morning?
You are fishing to see which area that can suit you. And you see, most of these things is laziness. It's not innovative because you see Agribank going into construction work and then paying contractors and so on and so forth. Why there's so much to do in the agri sector, so much, including dams, even the importation of agri equipment and so on, that there must be, their vision and mission must be redirected towards what they can do to support. And talking about the...
But Mr. Ondrimi, see, the thing is, as a bank, if the industry you are focusing on is booming, then you have business. But if the people there are not also there and their work is not happening...
Agri is not booming.
Oh, but if they had their hands full with staying on agri, would they branch into other things?
No, and I think because there's so many banks that are specialized in other areas of every facet of our economy and our daily lives and so on. If they concentrate on their core mission, and then later on, there are some bypasses that they can bring in to support their group, fine. But you don't sequester that to another bank and completely continue to do construction work and so on and so forth. I think we must put... I stay with ADB like it's over so many... when the previous government was in power, I learned that McDonald was given $10 million without board approval. Look at us. If we are going to ADB to take... you have to bring guarantors, you have to bring and so on. And McDonald can be given $10 million without board approval and so on. You understand? We can go on. The cost of printing down. You see, anything that we do as state institutions that would increase the cost for the taxpayer to pay must be reduced completely. It must completely be eradicated or reduced to its barest minimum because our taxes are for a purpose. You cannot go to do just printing and then the cost will jump up to this in 2024. What went into the printing, like he was saying? I don't know much what were the features, the cost of them and so on, but we must ensure that the cost is brought to its barest minimum and so on. The Chamber of Mines projected a strong growth in 2025. If you look at the trajectory of the indicators now, where they are going, you can foresee that in 2024 we're going to have a strong growth and so on. But how that strong growth translates into our daily lives and at what cost, and so we should also be looking at that. Yeah. But it is a good projection because if you look at that, you look at the fact that even government is not paying frivolous bills, government is reducing expenditure and putting much of resources into growth areas, I think we are going to have a better way. If you look at the figures now, even look at the fact that the doctor talked about the city stabilizing for some time and so on, how can we hold this for some time so that it does not degenerate into another disaster again and so on? Collateral registry is fantastic because when we have this, it means that these collaterals are not of fraud in character. It means that they've been time tested and that you can use them. It's even good for those of us who have collateral who go into this because when your name enters into that registry, it means that your collateral can be used for anything here without question, without any ambiguity and so on. So it's a good thing and we should.
Okay, so the daily graphic now. OSP conducts search on SML. Kisi Ajabing, special prosecutor, is here. State enterprises must sign performance contracts. I think we've delved into that already. And president intervenes in radio stations closure. Ministry gives 30-day ultimatum. And that also we have discussed. So let me get to the story about the SML, which is on page 13 of the daily graphic. Yesterday we spoke to Samida. He actually called in when we were having the conversation, so as to correct some of the wordings in our discussions. I said that they had destroyed some of the things, equipment, infrastructure there, and he said they were disconnected, not destroyed. So let's see what the story is about. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has conducted a search And he says the Director of Strategy, Research and Communication, Samuel Apiadako, told the Daily Graphic that the investors of OSP did not destroy any property at SML offices during last Monday's search, except to remove and take possession of items relevant in its investigation. I have some videos that may contest whether or not these were destroyed or disconnected, but I want to get your thoughts on this. For me, I know that the issue had always been about contracts, procurement.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the KPMG, if I'm wrong, anyone can correct me, said anything about the value of what they're doing, the metering systems and all that. So if it's a contract issue, why are you disconnecting wires and other things? Osajifo.
Exactly. As I haven't heard of the SML contract being abrogated. As far as I know, the contract is still running. I stand to be corrected.
Yeah.
And
it was suspended, but not cancelled.
But the upstream,
right,
one is still enforced.
Okay.
So I would, I haven't seen the video, but I would still tread carefully. I know the OSPs do their job, and sometimes surprise visits can be paid to institutions. There are times I've heard of cases where investigative institutions can come to your premises with a pen drive and download some things from your system in order to look into your affairs to make sure that everything is correct. So whatever they disconnected, as much as long as it does not interfere with the ordinary day-to-day operations of SML, then I believe that there may not be a problem there. However, if it's something that is very essential to their day-to-day running, then there has to be some caution exercise there, because it's a contract. There are performance indicators. Every contract has what you're supposed to do. If in the end SML is not able to meet some benchmarks, then the blame may lay at the feet of the OSP for whatever disconnection was made. And these things can give rise to all kinds of judgment debts and other issues. So I think we should tread a bit carefully there. There are ways of doing investigation. I've not seen a video, but if actually items were destroyed, that is also dangerous, because you can have an accused person saying that whatever was going to exonerate me is what you destroyed. That is why when investigations are being carried out, we all watch these foreign movies. They actually mark out the place and say, this place is a crime scene. Nobody should approach them until further notice. I'm yet to see the video, but I think the OSP he's doing his best. But if indeed these items were destroyed, then I would say that we should be a bit careful there. Otherwise, an already cash-strapped country may be liable to pay unnecessary judgment debts.
Okay. Mr. Wuntirim.
Yeah, I think, you see, the OSP and officers of the institution are mostly legal officers and people who are experienced in investigations. And they know what they are doing. And I've heard that they had a warrant to search the place.
Yes.
And the warrant would indicate exactly what you are looking for. They are not going to go there haphazardly doing things at their whims and caprices. They are going to do it in tandem with the law, because they know the consequences. Like lawyer said this morning, should anything go untoward, the state is going to bear the cost involved in it. I have been an investigator for 10 years. Anytime my lawyer, and that was the current commissioner for SHRAC, he was my lawyer. Anytime he gives me investigations to go and do, I know what I'm looking for. The lawyer will state explicitly what he's looking for. If you go and do things that are just completely jabbers and bring it to him, he's not going to mind you. And as an investigator, your work will speak louder than words. It is not how violently you attack someone or institution that works. But I think that the OSP is working well. He has done his work diligently. He's quite a careful guy, brilliant guy, and his workers are quite diligent and so on. With SML, you see, we've come a long way for where state institution or state actors set up another state institution, another GRA against the main GRA to be taking what the GRA is doing. What sort of governance is this? What sort of governance is this? They were into the oil, to the iron, you're going to add minerals. And these were actors who were already working with GRA. Look at the conflict of interest, but I'm not going to go into it because it's there. But we must begin to take a holistic look at private institutions we contract to work on behalf of government. If government cannot work, then the government has no business ruling. Because state institutions are there to do the work of what this man is doing. And at the end of the month or the year, you're taking 100 million, 10 years, 1 billion Ghana cedis. A work that the GRA, their officers in the Manasseh Azuri's expose, says that they are not just doing anything. Why do we do that to the state? Why do we rip the state? And while we are doing that, our people are suffering. Do you know what 1 billion can do? You were talking about infrastructure this morning, talking about the lights and so on. Do you know if you push the 1 billion to the infrastructure, what it can generate for this country? If there are leakages, and you can pay 100 million a year to, what do you call it? A state is private institution. Then close the leak. It means you are aware that there's a place is leaking. You have a house, the roof is leaking, and you are aware. They go and say that prof should come and then calculate some mathematical things to close the roof. Why can't you get a carpenter to close the roof? What if
what they were doing actually helped GRA to?
It means, look, if
to
you want
get
to
the
go,
revenue that we needed for. I've been listening to some of the things.
I've listened and I've followed this critically. GRA has the capacity. Before SML came in, what was GRA doing? Before this, they were set up by this guy, the then government. Look, if you look at illicit financial outflows from this part of the world, and for that matter, sub-Saharan Africa, it's running into $1 trillion.
Okay.
How does it leak out? It leaks out because those who are in charge, they allow multinational corporations to siphon these, what do you call, millions of dollars out.
I want to give Prof the chance to talk before I come in. Prof, on this EGRA SML matter.
I may respectfully be giving a different submission from what my earlier colleague said. In fact, I don't want to say anything that after this show I'll be picked up for.
No one is speaking.
I'm very careful.
The age of repression is over.
I'm careful with my choice of words here. OSP, they have a mandate to investigate crimes and all that, financial issues, no qualms about that. But sometimes their posture and sometimes that this administration, it appears they have not been voted for. You have power. A citizen, we have given you power to rule over us. If you want to take a decision, what is wrong? I'm here to see the warrant they gave to them. Was it to go and destroy the items there, or to go and search for an information? Because the video that I saw, for me, it doesn't tell me a story of to search. Things were on the floor.
I don't know if we can show some of the images, Kingsley, in terms of what they left behind.
Is a person.
Then we can decide or judge for ourselves whether it was disconnection or distraction, if we can just see the pictures of some of the doors. I've seen it, so I'm speaking to that.
It's a Ghanaian, first of all. A Ghanaian. It didn't come from Sky to take a contract. It went through the processes. If you think there are issues in terms of procurement breach and all that, the laws are there. The worst you can do is you go to court or abrogate the contract. What about this Rambo star? He's a Ghanaian. What has he done? Procurement breaches, take through the law. If you go to court and take a warrant to search, look, these issues are more of IT driven. The data you are looking for, there will be a backup somewhere. The data will be somewhere. So why do you go into the office to look for what? If you want the data on how much, what the guy is doing is revenue assurance, it's assurance. GRA has been there over the years. Check the records before SML, after SML. See the performance of GRA. If you think they are not adding it in GRA, profit or whatever.
How do you respond to his angle of duplication? Because he says GRA was doing the work. So this is just someone, a private citizen, who got a contract to do exactly what GRA was doing. How do you respond to that?
Right. When we talk about revenue assurance, more like a third party. You have an agreement with MPA. It says MPA, any fuel you lift, you come and pay GRA this amount of money. Now GRA says that, well, we want a third party to monitor what you're doing. So he brings an independent report to GRA.
It wasn't from GRA.
No, I'm saying that's what I may stand for correction. Okay. So what they do is that every month they give you a report to GRA. This is what they have lifted over the period, MPA. So calculate your percentage, your taxable income from, the amount they have to pay. And they produce a report. If you think that in terms of reconciliation, things are not done right, so be it. So they are, one way or the other, helping GRA. If you think it's a duplication of contract, cancel it. But what you're doing, if there's a judgment there, who is to pay? Me as a Ghanaian, my money will be used to pay. We shouldn't get to that stage. Because when we get to that stage, the 2 days they've locked up or they've not been able to produce, what is happening to fuel? Who are taking fuel? Who is controlling for 2 days or so?
So what you're seeing on your screen right now is some of the footages we have in terms of what the OSP did when they arrived at the scene. And we also show you some pictures of what they left behind when they left. So it will be rolling while we discuss this.
Or what?
Well, so Sami Darko says it wasn't a raid. It was a search. Execution of a search warrant. So they were looking for specific things and they went there to look for them.
I don't know.
And that's what they did when they went there.
Well, I'm looking at 2 days without operation. What will happen to Jerry in terms of revenue?
No, but if
now the one
investigations, you cannot be doing work again.
The 4 cedi per litre 10. Who is to monitor this?
No, Prof, you know MP at the time, even under the program, came and disputed that their system were robust enough to be checking the fuel. MPA
no, but a contract has been signed. Yeah, that is if you think there are procedural issues.
No, but he's talking about that they had good systems in place to check the level of fuel. But I also understand that that system meant that people had to climb these tanks and use dipstick to measure the level of fuel. And they've attached some sort of biometric metering system that can automatically calculate and tell you the level of fuel.
What are the minerals they added to?
No,
those have been suspended. That's not in motion as we speak.
What they are doing now is a downstream. They take care of the downstream and the ports. But they have an agreement. For about 6 months now, they've not been paid. You see, a judgment that is looming. And we have to be careful what we are doing.
Yeah, but they're under investigation, Prof.
No, if they're under, that is fine. I don't have a problem. If the law, we are going by the law, that is fine. But when it has to this kind of...
But this, you see, sometimes, where's the raid in it?
Is it what we are doing?
When you raid a house.
We are scaring other investors who want to come into the country.
When the raid took place.
So this is the disconnection of some of the things that they did.
Why do you do this?
He says it's not a distraction and disconnection.
They removed the hard.
But were they working at that time, controlling inflows of fuel?
When you are investigating, that's why you take them by surprise.
But this is what we are doing. Look, watch this. Investors across the globe will be watching this.
The investors do want to see a credible system.
Okay, gentlemen, there's a last story that we have to get into. It's also coming from Manasseh. We know that this SML deal, saga, was Manasseh that broke the story. So
we shouldn't do this for Ghanaian investors.
Yeah, so there's this one about the Zoom Lion issue. He was on a campaign to petition the president not to renew the contract for Zoom Lion to take care of sanitation issues in the country because, according to him, there are some corrupt things happening in there, no value for money, etc. And I mean, it goes as far as even shortchanging the sweepers, talking about taking 800 and something CDs and then paying them just 240 Ghana CDs therein and so forth. I know you've been following the story. Let's do some quick reflections on this and then we pop off. Let me start with your Sergeant.
I would say that Dr. Xiao and Jospon Group, they've been doing a good job in many areas. However, as a former student of economics, A monopoly is not something that I believe in. And when I heard the news, of course, anybody losing such a big contract will not be happy. But at the same time, I was happy for those who are now going to benefit from these contracts. We all complain about the economy and how there are lack of jobs. Now the contracts are going to be given on the district level, which I think is a good thing. And Zoom Lion has served well, I mean, for all these years. I hope that they'll be given their due. If there are any conditions for the termination, they will be treated fairly. And I think those who are now going to be given these contracts on a district level, they shouldn't let anybody regret this decision. Because I think over the past years, the country has become relatively cleaner year by year. It's not a perfect situation. So whoever is being given these on a district level should follow the good work that Zoom Lion did. Of course, if you see the figures that was being charged, it seemed that it will be too much for only one company to be benefiting so much. And I suppose it doesn't mean Zoom Lion is completely out of the market. They can partner with some of these smaller.
In fact, I've seen news stories about some African country, somewhere, Zimbabwe or somewhere, who are engaging the Just One group to handle some things for them.
Yes.
Like just this week, I saw it. I don't remember exactly what it was.
So Just One.
So you think that they've done some good work? It's just the issue of monopoly, and
exactly.
So that's where your issue is. Okay.
Exactly.
What about the issues about short-changing the sweepers, paying them less than, almost a third of what you actually took from the government to pay them?
When it comes to I don't think they were fair to them. I don't think they were fair to them. I think one excuse that one of their PROs gave was that they work only 2 hours a day, or there was a reason given, which sought, I suppose, to infer that these were part-time workers. But then again, you don't take 3 times the amount and then give them 1/3 and then keep the 2/3. And all in all, I would say that as much as the middle class in Ghana may be comfortable, majority of people, they don't really have a living wage. Because the minimum wage now, it will not even cover your T&T. So I think with the new contracts, we should make sure that these smaller companies will not treat the sweepers the same way, but will give them their due.
Okay.
It's nothing new for the agencies to take something from what they pay. It happens.
More than half?
No, it's too much.
I honestly think it's not about me.
It should be a percentage, but
yeah.
I think more than half is too much.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, let me put this thing in perspective. You see, that is our money. The taxpayers' money is being given to Zoom Lion on a contract to pay Ghanaians. Mm-hmm. Prof, have you seen where your private money issue can I disagree with you? There are private people in this country who are stealing from the hard-working people, the farmers, who are stealing from the Zoom Lion people. There are private people who have set up companies that do not exist, and they are collaborated by actors of the state to steal billions of cedis. And yet you call them private people, they are Ghanaians. When Ghanaians were mining in our waters, the colonial government never mined in our waters. They left forests and forest reserves, parks and gardens. But Ghanaian people have destroyed our forests. They've destroyed our water bodies. No colonial government ever mined in our waters. So if you allow such a Ghanaian to man private institutions and exploit the people to stupor, you think the government should sit down? Look, I've been saying that Zoom Lion should be confined to the cities. Zoom Lion should not be cleaning in Bulsa North. What rubbish do we do there? Previously, before Zoom Lion came, the assembly, we had what we call the tankers, that's the assembly, and they were being paid when they went on pension, Senate pension. As we talked this morning, none of these Zoom Lion workers will go on pension. They work in the scorching sun. They use their hands to pick filth that you and I would never do it. And they are paid barely 300 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
And over 500 is given to them. They are exposed exposed to the weather vagaries. They are exposed to every disease that you can think of.
Okay, I get you, but we have to go. You are saying
So
that
for me,
crack the whip on the Ghanaians who
yes,
are mismanaging Ghanaian
people.
funds
It's
and
not
all
about
that.
private
And
Ghanaians.
if
Some of the
they
Ghanaian
deserve
people
it,
are killing us.
let them dance.
You go and buy Sputnik V vaccine, then the transportation to bring it is more than the vaccine. What is this?
Let me say that. Let me say that. Let me make this clear to my good friend.
Yeah.
Whether you're Ghanaian or you're not a Ghanaian, if you fall foul, the law must deal with you.
Yes.
It's not about whether you're a Ghanaian, so we shall allow you to do anything. No. If you're a foreigner, you do the wrong thing, the law should deal with you. So that's fine. But if someone sits a day and gets up and says, I want to clean all the cities for you, awarded a contract. This person has survived during NDC, has survived the MPP.
Many governments, actually, yeah.
Government. Is this government that hasn't survived?
Today, the contract...
Actually, we put the statement from the president on the screen, so hopefully we can get it back in our running.
You see, they've survived.
Yeah. So you are hailing Manasseh Azuri for his expose.
It means that when you put our mind to something, you are focused, you can achieve it, no matter how the other government were elusive.
Okay, see, please let me take.
So whether NDC or MPP, the person is been able to survive through all the governments.
Yes.
I don't know what is happening today.
Today he hasn't even survived.
Well, but the point is that anytime you are a business person, you do a business proposal, and you want to look for funding, a contract from any institutions, you send your business proposal. They look at the content and then the contract before they award. So sometimes we need to also query those who approve the contract. Because this payment my colleague was talking about, how much we pay, all those things, were stated in the contract. Why did you award the contract? So those people are paying 400 given to them, they are working with that condition of service. That's a different discussion. So go through the contract. If you think that certain things are not there, either you amend or you change. But when we bastardize and all over the media space, we talk about this one, well, I say it's again here, but the point is that other institutions are looking up to this person. If today he gets a contract in South Africa, in Zimbabwe and the rest, which people will get the benefits? The same.
You remember the Liberian contract?
So my issue is that the
World Bank
issue is about procedural issues. Deal with the issue. If you want to abrogate a contract, you sign the contract. If you want to cancel it,
his is not even our procedure. It's over billing and value for money.
We are looking at.
So
it's not procedural. It's not about the contract. The contract, there was no issue about the contract. So Manasseh's problem is don't renew the contract because he's not doing.
Sometimes they are in arrears.
He's not doing a good job.
So he mentioned those workers have not been paid, working under, difficult conditions. They use their hands to pick. I have not seen. That's what he claims. So it's part of the condition. So if you have a...
All right, let me quickly run our viewers through the statement from the president. And he says, I refer to your letter dated April 27th, 2025 on the above matter, which is the petition to discontinue the expired contract between the Youth Employment Agency and Zoomlion Ghana Limited. And he says that His Excellency the President acknowledges the serious concerns raised in your letter and responds as follows. And so in responding, he says, one, on the expiration of the contract between YEA and Zoomlion Ghana has expired and will not be renewed. So yeah, the presidency heeded that call from Manasseh. And he says, in terms of audit of payments and claims, all payments made to Zoomlion after the contract expiration will be thoroughly audited. No further payments will be authorized without proper verification, and any unauthorized payment will be recovered. And on the conduct competitive of procurement, he says that Cabinet has directed the future sanitation contract be subjected to a competitive procurement process. So it fits into your argument of monopoly, Osajefo. And he says rather than one national contract, there should be regional or district-based tenders for private firms. This could reduce costs through competitive pricing and stimulate innovation as companies compete on service quality and secure contracts. And finally, he says the Cabinet subcommittee will develop the modalities for implementing this. So that's the response. He also talks about the super fees and the fumigation. This fumigation contract is coming all the way from COVID time and the special contracts that Zoomlion. So it goes all the way back. This is not something that is happening right now. And the contract, I think, started 2004. We're talking about over 2 decades issue right now.
But see, the timing of this contract, for me, is wrong. We are close to June, July. With Zoomlion, Look at what we are going through when it rains. Without Zoom line, June, July, what will happen? For me, that's been my challenge.
Yeah, so without Zoom Lion, but with other district-based or regional-based entities handling
this issue?
Competition is good, though.
Well,
when it comes to...
Prof,
we are here in Ghana.
Prof, you remember
we have to go.
The minister who went and procured the drugs, when they were saying, he doesn't think well. So they allow him to go scot-free.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Those who joined the conversation this morning, former Member of Parliament for Busa North Constituency, Timothy Awuntrim, and Kwame Nkrumah Botiu is General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, and today they're celebrating 76 years. Yesterday, congratulations once again. And of course, Professor Isaac Boedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at University of Professional, UPSA. And they join us for this conversation. Stick and stay. There's so much. Today is actually packed, so don't change that channel. I'll be right back.